Hey guys, I'm Kira. Welcome to my channel. If you want to see how to get this everyday eye look, go ahead and keep watching. I always start out with priming my eyelids. I like to use the Urban Decay Original Eye Primer. I find that it works the best. I used to have a really huge problem with my eyes, my eyeshadow creasing, and ever since I started using this, I have not had that problem at all. Like, not one time has this ever let me down. And that to me is a huge deal. So I just put a little bit on my ring finger because you're supposed to use your ring finger around your eye area because it applies the least amount of pressure, which creates less wrinkles and damage and all that sort of fun stuff. So I'm just going to prime my lid. So now that I have my eye primer on, I'm just going to make sure there's no harsh lines, just blend it out with my finger nice and good. I'm going to go in with my Smashbox Photo Matte Eyes palette, and I like to use this shade right here, this one. I like to put this one all over my eyelids. I feel that it sets the eye primer really well and makes everything just blend a little better. If there's a base coat of shadow on there first and not just going directly onto the eye primer, because it does tend to be a little bit sticky, but that's what makes it last so long and makes it so great. So, it's fine. What I'm going to use is I'm going to use the Sigma E60 to just apply that light color all over my eyelids. So, one thing about this palette that I really, really, really enjoy is the smell of it. It smells so incredibly good. I can't even describe it. It's really, really great, and I love it. So, next I'm going to take none other than the Sigma E40, and I'm going to use that shade that was right next to it. I'm going to use this shade right here to put in my crease as a transition color. Since this is an everyday eye look, I'm not going to go super crazy with any bold colors or anything. I'm going to keep it pretty neutral. I also tend to stay on the cooler side of shadows. I'm not always into a really bold orange eye look. It's just not necessarily my thing. I think it looks beautiful on other people. I just don't prefer it for myself. So that color is pretty light, as you can see. So I'm just going to go in a few more times, darken it up a little bit. This eye look is going to be great for everyday wear, especially in the summer. It's very, very light, just gives you the natural but better look. So I'm going to move on to my next transition-ish shade, and I'm going to go in with Makeup Geek's Beaches and Cream. Makeup Geek shadows, I actually found out about them through Jaclyn Hill, and I ordered a few, and I absolutely became obsessed with them. They are $6, cannot beat that. Also, they are really good quality. You are getting something good for your money. So for my next transition color, I'm going to go in with Beaches and Cream by Makeup Geek. I was put onto these shadows by Jaclyn Hill. She's the first YouTuber I ever started really watching, and she's partially the reason why makeup became my hobby. I loved watching her videos, learning everything from her, and now I'm starting my own channel. So thank you, Jaclyn, for sharing these with me, and I figured out that pretty much everyone in the beauty world is using them because they are amazing. They're $6, and you really can't beat the quality. They're great. So again with my E40, I'm going to go in with Beaches and Cream. So with this one, I'm just going to take it a little higher than my crease area. Really blend it out. As you can see, I'm going in windshield wiper and circular motions. So just again, darken that up a little bit. Alright, so the next shade I'm going to go in with is a little bit darker, so I'm not going to take it up as high on my eyes. I'm going to leave it more concentrated in the crease, and that is Creme Brulee by Makeup Geek. Another really great shade, one of my favorites, and I'm going to go in with the Morphe G17. Okay, so this brush is still nice and fluffy blending brush. It's a little bit longer and thinner than the E40, so it allows me to have my color be a little more concentrated, but still very, very blended without a lot of effort, which, you know, is nice, especially if you're in a hurry, since this is an everyday eye look. So I'm going to keep this a little more in the crease. I'm going to go more windshield wiper motions than little circles. Excuse me. Again, dipping back in. I'm going to just darken this up a little bit. Like I said, I'm going more windshield wiper motions than anything. Now onto the other eye. Just really, again, keep that more concentrated in the crease. You don't want to have all your dark colors blended all the way up onto your brow bone and kind of above your crease. It's nicer to keep it more concentrated in your crease area. So then, just to make sure everything is nice and blended, I'm going to go back in with my E40 that just has a little bit of the Beaches and Cream left on it, and I'm going to just blend. Make sure everything's nice and blended. Okay, so then I like to do another color just a little bit darker and keep this one really concentrated. So it's Latte by Makeup Geek. Again, you guessed it. Alright, so Latte is more of a cooler brown shade, whereas Frappe I find is a little bit more on the warm side. So again, like I said, I like to keep things a little bit cooler. I just find it looks a little bit better on my face. So again, I'm going to take a different brush that is still kind of meant for blending, but also it's a little shorter, a little more dense, so I can pack on that color exactly in the place I want it, and it's not going to fan it out everywhere into places I don't want it. So going in with Latte. Okay. I'm just going to concentrate this on the outer corner of my eye, just in the crease. Just in the crease of my outer corner is where I'm going to concentrate this shade. Now to the other eye. Keep it nice and concentrated in that corner. The reason I really love this brush is because, as you can see, it packed on a pretty good amount of color, but it's not like so dense as to where it's like you have a streak. It still is nice and blended. Okay, still nice and blended, and since this is an everyday eye look, I'm just going to leave this concentrated in the outer corner. I'm going to drag it in just slightly, just to make sure it's nice and blended and everything looks seamless, but I am not going to make it a hole across like I'm doing a cut crease or anything like that. So next, I am going to take the Morphe G15 brush. This is a nice flat little definer brush, really good for packing on color exactly where you want it. So next I'm going to take Rapunzel by Makeup Geek. It's a nice light champagne-y color with a little bit of shimmer in it. Perfect for everyday use to just give you that little pop of shimmer without going for a full glittery eye look, which is great, but not always what we want for every day. So, just going to take my brush. I like to pack the product on for this one. And I'm just going to cover my entire lid. Again, I really like to pack this one on. And as you can see the difference, it just, this eye is a little lighter than this one. Okay, so it just gives me a little bit of shimmer, lightens everything up. Now I apply it on my lid almost as if it was a cut crease. Just really make like little domes, kind of just my eyelid. That's the only place I apply it. All over. And then I'm going to go back in with my E40 that doesn't really have any product left on it at this moment. I'm just going to do a little bit of windshield wiper action here just to make sure everything's nice and blended. So for my eyeliner, I like to create the thinnest line I possibly can. And I like to use a brush like this, it's kind of like a tiny little paintbrush. You can just draw really small lines with it. And that's what I like to use for an everyday eye look, to just give me a super thin line on my lash line. And that I like it over an angled brush, because with angled brushes I find that you tend to get a thicker line, which is not what I'm going for, as I've already said. So I like to use the Maybelline gel eyeliner, this one right here, in Blackest Black, another Jaclyn Hill recommendation. So there you go. I like to just take my brush. Oh, this is a M250-1 brush, if you were wondering. Another one that's similar to this that I really like, it has just shorter bristles on it, is the M250-0. That one's also really good. If you're just starting out, it's a little easier to work with since it is a little bit smaller of bristles. So. Also, just a little tip with gel eyeliner, don't do it if you're in a rush. I don't know what it is, but the gel eyeliner can sense when you're in a rush and you will mess up. So my advice, just play it safe. Only do gel liner when you know you have time. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to smoke out my lower lash line. And for this, I'm going to use the Morphe G27. Okay, it's a nice little pencil brush, nice and dense, really good for smoking out the lower lash line. So even though this is a natural look, I always smoke out my lower lash line. I think it just completes everything. Even if you're doing a natural look with light colors, you can still use those light colors. And I think it works really great. So again, I'm going to go in with Beaches and Cream. Just tap my brush in there, tap off the excess, and I'm going to just go on the lower lash line. And with this, since it's the lightest color, I'm going to drag it in a little more than all the other ones. Then I'm going to go in with creme brulee. This one I'm going to concentrate a little bit more on the outside and bring it into about halfway. Whereas the other one I brought it in about 3/4. Then I'm going to take a little bit of the darkest shade we used, which was Latte. Just a tiny bit, very, very small amount. And just in the corner of the eye. Just in the corner. So next I'm going to take the Sigma E30, just a nice little pencil brush, and I'm going to highlight my brow bone and my inner tear duct. And I'm going to use Makeup Geek White Lies for that. It's really nice, doesn't have a lot of shimmer, just a nice white highlight, but I don't find it to be too overly intense. So I just put that right underneath the brow bone. And then I put on inner tear ducts. For my inner tear ducts, I like to just dab the highlighter into there. I don't like to swipe it all around. I tend to feel like it gets to be a little too much if I swipe it all the way around. But it looks a little more flattering on me if I just put it concentrated right on the inner part. So, last step is mascara. I use the CoverGirl Lash Blast Fusion, the purple tube. I have tried the orange tube, I forget which one that one is, but I always have come back to the purple one. I know there's a lot of high-end mascaras out there. I've tried a bunch of them. I've tried the Better Than Sex mascara. I've tried the Smashbox X-rated mascara. And in all honesty, I do like the CoverGirl better. And it saves you money, so, you know, that's kind of nice too. Since it is an everyday look, I'm not going to put on lashes. You can put on lashes if you'd like. Of course, you can do whatever you want. This is makeup. Your decision. Do whatever makes you happy. If you want to wear a blue liquid lipstick on your eyes, go for it. No one can tell you no. It's a form of self-expression. It's to make yourself feel better. And you can do whatever you want. And I will support you. Alright, so there you have it. That's my everyday eye look. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like and subscribe. Thanks, guys. Bye.